So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I wanted to have a bit of a play. I've bought, I think the kind of a vintagey set, or they're not the brand new. These are called Swiss Colour by Caran. So I don't think it's the newest watercolour set that they do in a watercolour pencil, but they were £20 on eBay, so I thought I'd buy them and have a comparison with my Derwent watercolour pencils. So I put them in my new pencil sleeves for my giant pencil case, which is the, I think this was the P, bear with me. This is slightly smaller than the BTSKY. So this one is the UTRO 180 slot pencil case, and I love it because the sleeves actually come out. So it's basically like a file clip. So I'm doing a bit of a comparison. So I picked on the pale green and a medium green, and I'm just having a bit of a comparison to see if they behave the same, if they look the same, if they have got the same kind of pigment quality to them. And so far they seem to be doing quite well. So I've scratched the pale green of the Caran Colour 2s, and on the Derwents we have a May green and an olive green. And I can't read the numbers on these, they're a bit difficult to read, so I might just have to have a bit of a look online to see if I can find a colour guide. But they look very similar. To these colours. So I've scratched the Derwent colours on there, so I'm going to probably move. I've got everything set up for the next video, so I shall put that on this side and I'm not crossing over for a minute. So all I'm doing is dunking into a pot of water, and then I'm just twisting the baby wipe. So twisting the paintbrush on a baby wipe to a point so it's just damp. Because this is a sketchbook. This is Dana Rowney, a sketchbook, but it does allow you a little bit of water, not too much, but you can use it as a paper palette. So we're using a barely damp brush, and then we're activating it to make it a watercolour, and then we're using it it's probably not the right brush, this one, but it's quite nice to have a bit of a, I think I'm going to switch to my, this is a little bit long, this one. This is a rigger by Dale Rowney, graduate rigger, and it's just a nice, you can manipulate the end to pick colour up, and then you can kind of get into some smaller spaces. It does wiggle about a bit, but you can go from dark to light, so I kind of like that. And you want to do that now, though. Just kind of want something in between. Just look at this one. This one is Art Masters Series 11, and it's number 6. So we've got a little bit of dampness, but a shorter brush. I think we need a bit of a shorter brush this time. So go back in with the Derwent, activate it, pick the colour up, and then kind of manoeuvre it around a bit. I suppose I could have used the water brush for that, but never mind. Could use a water brush. So we'll get the dark mineral green, and we'll go around some edges. This brush is actually a little bit big, but I just want to see how it behaves on the page. I think I'm going to get my Derwent number 1 brush out. Have a look at my Derwent number 1. Murphy's Law says I pick up 1 and 3 first. Hiding is the number 1. There we go. So we'll try with this is the Derwent number 1 brush, and I love it because it has a small tip. But again, you've got to dry it on a baby wipe, barely damp baby wipe. Could be a hand wipe, or it can be a face wipe. Anything that's cheap and cheerful, and it doesn't want to be kitchen roll or paper towel because that disintegrates. Whereas this baby wipe, I've used it for about 6 weeks now. So don't waste paint. Oh, I'll have a look. So Lima says that she's got a vintage set of Caran d'Ache, and the pale one is... This one is, I think it says 0, and it says 61194. What did you say yours was? 996. Sorry guys, I have to put my glasses on. $249. I don't know how old these were. I think it is a vintage set, this, but it was £20 on eBay, and I think they're normally 40. You can buy them brand new, but they're 40. But for £20, I thought I could do a comparison. I don't really need them because I am a bit of a derwent nut. But I think there is a different pattern on the tin, whereas this one was the old-fashioned white cross on a red background, I think, for the Swiss flag. So that was that one. So I go to this side and I'll do another leaf. That's the olive that I was using. So I'm going to finish that leaf off. I'm going to finish these leaves off here. So pick up some colour with the brush. Now it will be slightly different because this is a water brush, but it won't be too different. And then we've got the darker one here. So I think we possibly do dark here. So they they melt just like the derwents. Very nice to use. And mix together just like we would with the derwent colours. We put that into there. And then we'll go back to the derwent one and we'll mix these two together. So again, there is very little in them. The colours are slightly different, but of course they name things differently. They mix their own pigments for their own colours, but this technique, there is no difference. You can go light to dark and they kind of melt off the page exactly the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use them slightly differently. I'm going to I like working from a paper palette because you have a lot of control, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take those colours and we had light and dark olive, didn't we? So I think we'll have these two are light and dark olive, and there's an olive green. I don't know if bronze. just try this one. See if I can match it up a bit. No, it is the other one. So we're going to use cedar green. It's the nearest olivey colour I can get. So this is another way that I use them, these watercolours. Oh, perhaps so. Perhaps so. It's the serial numbers for the year. So we've got 4 olive colours. So the other way I use these pencils is I will scratch a bit of colour in. Now I use this technique for the pineapples. So I could do a bit of a longer leaf if we have one. We haven't, but never mind. Now I've got the darker one. And again, you can do this if you're going away. You could scratch all the colour in. And then you could just shut the book up. Do the whole book just in pencil like this, scratching a little bit of colour where you want it. And then you come along with your brush. I think I might use just dried it on a baby wipe. So we'll come in there for the pale. So we'll go back in there with pale and then activate the dark a bit. And I'll do the last one with a different brush because it's a little bit too wet, is that one. So again, activate that pale colour and there's a bit of a line there, but behave themselves really well. So then we'll go to this one and we'll do one with the water brush and instantly the derwents melt. And then we'll do one with the other brush. Down, twist to a baby wipe. Activate this. You see you get more control with a brush than you do the water brush. But there isn't much in it. If you're doing a bigger space, this will be better because your brush becomes too wet. So, they both melt. There's a bit of a mark on that one, but I'll do that again. I'm probably find there's 2 leaves here, so I'm actually going to, I can't really swap them, can I? I think that's a flower. This wants to be green here, so we'll do the caran dash on the outside, the pale olive, and then we'll put the darker olive. So what I want to do is when it's finished, I want it to be a finished colour page. I do have to say that there's more pigment in those, which I found I knew the derwents were good. I don't know if these are professional though, but there seems to be a little bit more pigment, but they were slightly darker colours, but there wasn't much in it. There wasn't much in it in these two. So we'll scratch these colours again. When you're scratching them, seems to be a bit more of a resist from the derwents, so I would think a little bit waxier. Now my other ones are really soft and lovely. Just checking where Bungle is, he's fast asleep. So we'll take that from here. Now that melts lovely. And this is the olive one. So that melts quite nice. And we get that lovely soft, paler and paler and paler. So we'll clean the brush. And I think I'll do these. So clean the brush, activate the light olive, and then we'll start. Again, they're quite nice to use. Again, some different coloured pigments do different things. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going around the outside. So we've got 3 leaves out of that one. So we need to do the outside of this one with this olive. So they're quite nice to use. I have to say I do prefer the derwents. It's just a little bit more kind of pigment, but there is very, very little in them. They do the same thing. This brush is a bit big for that. They do the same thing and they're very similar in colour. So you can get exactly the same effect, and they're both dry now. And they're almost the exact same colour as well. So there's very little in it. I think the derwents have slightly more pigment, but it's not it's not a really exact. I'm just playing about, so very, very similar. And we'll adjust the brush, pick up some colour, and do this one. It appears there's slightly more pigment in the derwents, but you can still get a really nice effect from both of them. So they would work on a paper palette. Oh, hi Susie, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else pop in? Oh, bye Melody. Well, have a lovely lunch. So the colours are extremely similar, and the outcome is I have to say, I do think, but we'll try other colours, that I think that there's a little bit more pigment in them, but this might not be the professional set of the Caran d'Ache. Let's look for some yellows next. We'll put yellows in next. So that was 1551. Let's flick that over, and we'll flick this one over, and then we can have a look for has an orange. Spectrum orange. I think that one looks like a chrome. So we've got these two next, and we'll have a red. Is that red vermilion? And this one looks like a geranium lake. Nope, it's not. It's not pink enough for that. Is it a crimson lake? It would be quite nice to know if we've got some different colours in there. So I've got 3 different ones now. So we've got number 9. We've got a red. Oops. Then we've got the middle one. And here we've got a tangerine gamboge colour. We have an orange. Doesn't seem to be as much pigment coming off that one. And then we've got this one. So the orange seemed a little bit reluctant to give its colour, but that might just be me. So we'll push those back in there, and I'll bob these back as well. Because we've now got them, they're very similar. So I think this was the fairest kind of indication. So we're going to do our flower. Just dig those out of the way. Draw all of them out. So quick slurp of coffee, guys. So thanks for popping in, thanks. Oh, hi Mel, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Everybody else popping in. I've got the derwent watercolor pencils, the new set. And I bought second hand these Swiss colour. Can you see that? Swiss colour by Caran. And they have the water brush mark on them. And because they were only 20 quid, I thought I can do a comparison. I think brand new they're about 40 some. So I'm looking for similar colours. And I'm looking for a similar flower. So we'll do this flower. I just wanted to see if they were very similar. So we're starting with the palest. And of course the derwent just melts completely. So I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow on the edges. And I know it's a poinsettia, but and then clean the brush, and then we'll put a bit of the next colour in. And then we've got the darkest one there, so we can come out now maybe. So we've got some quite nice colours there. Oh, so they're quite modern, are they? The Caran d'Ache ones. I didn't realise if they were modern or not. So on this one, we're going to do this flower next. Oh, I need a very similar. I'm going to do the background of there. So we've got the yellow first. Again, that melts quite nicely on the outside. Then clip brush. The binder is definitely different. But colour-wise, they behave exactly the same and get exactly the same effect. So there isn't much in it. I didn't think there would, because I thought Caran d'Ache would be good. They may not stand up to the traditional ones, my vintage ones, but this is the new set of derwents, and this is the Colour Soft. I like the derwents because there's more colours there. I do like the derwents because there's more colours. I don't think Ustream's behaving itself very well. I think it's been rather naughty. So I kind of like that. So we've got a couple of these next. I've got some more flowers. We'll do these 3 leaves here next, because I am trying to colour the book as well as we go along. And I must admit, I do love my pencil case sleeves. They're behaving themselves. And because I've got all these browns on this side, I know I don't actually need that. I shouldn't have got that one out. I should have left that one in. So I've got, we've got some pinks and purples. So I've got, and when you look at them, these are dull and these are a bit shiny, the tips. These remind me very much of the, it's a blue violet. That's a mauvey colour. I think that's a mauve as well. You think? I don't think that's a dark purple. Let's have a bit of a scratch. Should it? Oh, it's a pinky purple. Is that one? This one reminds me of a fuchsia. But fuchsia is obviously in the ink tense. So let me have a look at Imperial Purple. No, Imperial Purple is more of a purple, so let's have a look for a purple. I think this one's Imperial Purple. Yeah, that's very similar. So we've got our 2 dark purples. I may not find this one. It does remind me. Oh, let me have a look at my colour book. That's the easiest way to do it, isn't it? So let me have a look at. That's like a burnt carmine, and burnt carmine for some reason is with the browns. Never figured that out, but it is. For some reason Derwent put burnt carmine. I thought it was like burnt carmine. So yeah, definitely burnt carmine is that. Maybe a bit of fuchsia pink thrown in. Where's the fuchsia pink gone? If you look at the ink tense, So we have those two, and the next one we'll have is a pink, and that is a real pink magenta. I don't think we have a magenta. That's a pale pink, and a red violet lake. There's a dark violet. I think that's a dark violet, possibly. So let's have a look at this one. Oh, that's a bit like Imperial Purple, isn't it? And that was like a French ultramarine. So let's just get French ultramarine. Let's see what this one does. I think I've matched those two up. It's just my purples. I haven't got my purple mixed up. I haven't got my purple right. Oh, we've got 5 of each. I think they're going to be matched. I've got 3, I've got 4, 5. So I've got 5 of each. So they're as near as damn it. We're probably never going to match them up perfectly, but they're as near as we can get them. Have you got any questions? So on the derwent side, just put we've only got 4. Oh, no, we've only got 4. So we'll have the palest one. I'll put the palest one there. And the palest one we'll have a look there. And then we'll have the next one. Probably just going to do 2 on that one. I think that was that one, wasn't it? So again, I've got the damp brush, manipulate the pale colour, and then drag it into the gorgeous, rich, sort of magenta pink. Then rinse the brush back to the top. across to the again, they melt. So there isn't much in them. I like the derwent colours, and there's 72 in the set, so I don't actually know how many's in the Caran d'Ache. There's probably about 100, I think. I can't remember if I've actually looked them up. I just saw them on eBay, saw the water-based marker, and kind of thought I would use them. And again, these are just melting. So there's very little in them, and they both behave themselves. Behave themselves quite well, so that was quite nice. So we want the darker purple in the bottom, the paler purple on the top. So we've got So I like the fact that there's hardly any in it, so scratching them, they work the same. I think the paper palette, I like the derwents slightly better, but I am used to using those. But they both work in this method of scratching, of pre-scratching colour. So you can still kind of do that, and they will melt. The colours behave themselves very well. You've just got to rub maybe that tidgy bit more on the Caran d'Ache. You just have to rub the line still, but they're not far behind the derwents, definitely not. And if we wanted to use them off the palette, again, they're just, oopsie, it's the wrong brush, this has got a tail on it. Really beautiful colours. I think the derwents have got a little bit more pigment to them, so they seem to go further. But colour-wise, they're still absolutely gorgeous. And I think they are very slightly different, so that means that if I did put these colours next to each other, I could kind of not really see one that's going to touch them. So instead of having 4, I've got 8 purples, from purple to blue, and of course more colours you get, the better. So let's try the this other purple. So this is the derwents. And this is the I think if you were looking, you'd find the derwents have slightly more pigment, but there is very little in it. And because I'm used to using the derwents, I'm using the Caran d'Ache in the same way, but there's very little in it. The derwents do seem to have slightly more pigment. as I say, there's very little difference in them. Head through that. So there's very, very little difference in that. So just let me have a look at the time. So you can either work from a paper palette, or you can work. I'll just colour this one in because I know what colour it is. This little one here. And I've got this one to go down there. I'm just going to use this orange up here because I didn't put. So you can use them in solid colour, you can use them mixed together, you can use them in a watercolour way, you can use them next to another colour, or you can use them in a completely watercolour way. So we've got some more greens there and more greens there. So I'm going to put these back and pick some more greens up. So I think I would be tempted to put the colours next to each other instead of having the Caran d'Ache ones on one side and the other ones on the other side. I think I would be quite tempted just to put them, the purple, do them in colour order rather than in manufactures. The burnt carmine good on that one, because I think that the colours are slightly different but they behave the same. So I'm quite tempted to do that. Now we do have some nice greens. I was thinking, oh, we actually have a bird on that one. I'm not sure if we have a bird on that. We have a butterfly on one. So I'm going to use some of these colours. That one's kind of like a teal. And then we've got a pale blue. And we've got that colour. So we'll match these up. So we've got this turquoise teal, and then we've got a very pale blue, sky blue, and then we have a turquoisey blue, I think, possibly, or oriental blue maybe, and then this one is a turquoisey green. I think that's called, I think that's like a kingfisher. So we try these colours. So we've got a bright butterfly and a bright bird. So we've got the blue green, the pale blue, do two, and then we have that's a greeny blue, I think. Got a turquoise blue. And on this side we have that turquoisey blue, which is turquoise green. And then we have sky blue, which is the pale blue. I think that's probably a bit darker, that one. But it doesn't really matter, it's just... Then we've kind of got a greeny kingfisher blue, this one. Love kingfisher blue. So there's a little bit of a difference, but there's not much. So there's a little bird there, so we'll do the bird with the derwents first. So we want... I'm doing this very quickly and very roughly, so you can take your time with this one. Use a smaller brush if you need to. So we've got pale blue. I think I would like quite a nice little bright bird, and then we have a butterfly here. So we've got turquoisey wings. Oops, sorry guys. Got turquoisey wings up there. There is very little difference in these two sets of... They're both very good quality, they're both very good pigment. Perhaps I like the derwents a little bit better, but working from a paper palette, it's just when you scratch on the surface, but working on a paper palette, they both are really, really nice. So we could do with... I'm going to give him an orange peak. So we've got some small leaves here, so I'm going to pick another green, I think. Or we could use what's on the... what we've got. We've got this green here. So we'll start... those little ones there. Damp the brush. And there's the green one. So we've got this green here. So the ink isn't very much in that at all. I haven't got a lot left of this one. So you can do it a lot neater than me, but I like working from a paper palette because you could do other things with this. You could mix two colours together and you would get a completely different colour. And like we said before, the pages are connected, so the greens are connected, so the page colours will be connected. So you probably really wouldn't be able to tell the difference between these two. I have another green. What greens have I put out? More turquoisey greens. The other thing we can do is take lemon and cadmium and Prussian and ultramarine. So as a guess, I would say that that's that one, and that's cadmium, that's a purple blue, and then that one is a dark blue. And this is where it gets exciting with any watercolour pencil, is we want the pale yellow, the darker yellow, the pale yellow, the darker yellow, and then we've got the two blues, so we want the darker blue and the darker blue and the purple blue and the purple blue. Purple blue, the purple blue, the cold blue. So again, they're not far out for colour wise. Sorry guys, there's the Elf Master. So what we can do now... Oh, hi Kingo, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else popping in? Oh, there you go, Suzanne. Right, so we've got this green. And remember, it's a watercolour. You can't do this with ink 10s. But this green now is mixed. So we have a beautiful green there. So got quite a lot of greens out of that one. I'm going to do that on a different one. And then on this side here, we're going to mix these together. And we've got the same, very similar, dull green. It's not a bright green, that one. So that's our dark greens, and that's because we used the purple blue. So now we want to use the purple, the cold, that was the cold blue. So now we're going to use the same blue but a different orange, sorry, different yellow. So it's exactly the same blue, but it looks more of a green now. It's a lot warmer green now. Just fill that one in there. So this one, we can do these two leaves. And mix these together now. And we've got a nice kind of rich, deep green. Need to put the orange in that one. So we go back to this one and we'll do these two colours here. And we'll do this green here, like that. So then we'll do this one. We'll do this one, and that is going to be quite a dark one because it's the same blue as this one, but it's a different yellow. Then we've got this one. So sometimes it's a lot nicer to kind of mix your own colours up. So if you haven't got a green in your watercolours, don't ever panic. So we've got some really nice colours in there. Yes, there he is, little boy. So you can work on a paper palette or you can work scratching off. I prefer to work, and of course you use the Caran Colour 2s this way as well. And this is a very smaller version than this. So this won't constitute very much, but we've used this bit, but we haven't used the round it. So that is actually pure colour, like these. So where I've used the little bit here, it's going to be extremely pale. But all this is strong colour. And that's how the little book works. And when it gets depleted, let's have a look. We've got a scarlet red. Oh no, that's ink tints. I always do this. There's a madder carmine. Sorry, burnt carmine. Number 65. So if I get number 65, burnt carmine, I just do this. And now it's got back up to full strength again. And that's all this is. So if you had a certain amount of colours that you wanted to do, you could scratch them on good quality sketchbook and just take this with you and put it inside your book, and that would be fine. Oh, thank you, Susie. So what we've got is we've got a pale yellow so we've got a cold yellow, lemon yellow, and then we've got a warm cadmium yellow. So that's nearer orange than this one. And then we have the two blues. So we're on there, underneath we had purple blues, so that's the French ultramarine, and then we had indigo, we had a cold blue, cerulean blue, indigo blue, and your greens are completely different. Even though it's the same yellow on here, it's completely different because it's a different blue. So you get some, you can choose whether you want a turquoisey one or you want a proper rose coloured green, or you want a mint green, because if you take these lighter and lighter you end up with a mint green. But how many more colours have we got on here? Even though we didn't have, we just scratched out two greens and two olives. So we've got 4 greens, but then here we've got another 4. And then if you had a touch of orange to them, you get your olives. So a touch of orange to all these greens, and you're going to get more olive colours from very dark to very pale. And I kind of like that. So this is in the olive, so I can instantly tell that that green wasn't made with cadmium yellow. It was made with, it was made with cadmium. It was made with a warm yellowy orange. And I can tell that the other ones were made with the cold yellow, because of how they are on here. These are truer greens, and these aren't, because this is the purple. And you could make your own. You could make your own up, which is why it always brings me back to my 6 colours. So I'm just going to pop these pencils back, which I think in the video you might make it quite boring. So we've used a colour palette, and if you wanted you could pull this out and put it in the book, so you've got something, or you could put a little note to say, you could put Johanna Basford's Magical Jungle. And I've already put, this is a comparison. So I know that when I find this page, it belongs here. So that's comparing, and I say there's very, very little in it. I do prefer slightly the derwent, but I am a bit of a derwent nut. So that's the comparison between the Caran Swiss Colour and the derwent watercolour pencils. Thanks for watching.